I am Neeraj Chaube. Today, I intend to discuss the most pertinent problem, a most concealed form of the knowledge of science, which is relating to the traditional astronomy of this country, which is not still being revealed, and it is an ardent need to make it available and accessible to all in the world. The traditional astronomy of India is very, very rich. At the moment, it is being felt all over the world that this should not be excluded in any manner, while due to one reason or other, its literature is in most sporadic way, and many times a continued literature is also not available in the pass of time. Now, this is the time when we must realize, we must collect it, we must compile all such literature of our ancient astronomy. Thus, ancient astronomy has provided those rules, those principles, if they come up present day in our knowledge, it may enrich, it may modify even the present day astronomy. Unlike the Christians or Muslim or say other civilizations, we, depending on the Vedic concepts or say Sanatan concepts, we have maintained our calendar, which is still being proven every year through our Panchangas. Whatever the Panchang say, this happens practically in our observations. And what to talk any further when the most pertinent research of the present day science, the research of gravitation, was also revealed by our seers and monks and academicians in the most primitive times. If I read Bhaskaracharya, if I read Bhaskaracharya in his most popular text Siddhant Shiromani, in the Goladhyaya, he provides that Akrishta Shaktischa Mahi Taya Tat Swastham Gurum Swabhimukham Swashaktya Akrishyate Tat Patatiti Bhati Sami Samantat Kwa Patatvitam Khe. And this is the same law of gravitation. If I speak to its translation, then its translation is like this: the earth has force of attraction and attracts the objects surrounding it. For heavier objects, we find that they fall earlier, while the lighter objects, they fall later. And the objects which are nearby earth, they have more force of attraction than the objects which are farther from earth. And this is the same law of gravitation which was revealed by Sir Isaac Newton when he incidentally found the apple falling from tree on the surface of earth. Not only that, even the leading scientists of the world have realized the basic principles which our modern science could hardly follow, and most complicated theories of the present day science were also deeply rooted in our primitive knowledge. So, let me again quote one masterpiece text entitled Gravitation, by three great authors, Misner, Throne and Wheeler, out of which Professor Wheeler got Nobel Prize. He has himself quoted in the same text on page 23, which I may exactly recall all what he has himself quoted, that time is awakened when all the things sleep, time stands straight when all things fall. Is, was and shall be are time's children. O reasoning, be witness, be stable. And he has quoted it from Mahabharata, AD 1400. Such extraction by itself reveals that the theory of relativity of time was very well known to our monks and seers. They were best known about the most startling modern concept of the relativity of time. Time may be straight, time may be curved, it may form a circle, it may be back. All these theories were very well known at the time of Mahabharata, as the Nobel laureate has himself revealed. So, why I am telling all these things? My purpose, very purpose, is to say that when such modern day concepts were very well known to our monks and seers, and a lot of texts have been written over that, then why not those texts be taken into account? And it is quite possible that many features of knowledge may not be known to us at the moment and may come to our way. Another very good example is from one Indian scientist, Professor Jayant V. Narlikar, a leading astronomer of the world. He is well known for his sea field theory, and his theory is most standard Hoyle-Narlikar theory. He has also most surprisingly found that the age of the universe, as has been calculated by Big Bang theory, is very well in proximity to what has already been calculated in our past times. In his book, The Structure of the Universe, on the chapter 4, The Theories of Universe, page number 105, Professor Narlikar has calculated the age of the universe which our seers have found. So, let me extract this from his text, The Structure of the Universe, in the same manner. Long before the advent of the modern cosmology, the question of origin and evolution of the universe fascinated mankind. Of course, the Hindu scripture Vishnu Purana comes up with the suggestions as comparable to those of the present day astronomy. In this work, say verses 12 to 15, box 1 of chapter 3, the God Brahma is regarded as creator of the universe, and the overall life of the universe may be compared with one day of Brahma. One day of Brahma lapses when 4 yugas, Krita, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, are repeated 1,000 times. One cycle of 4 yugas takes up 12,000 divine years, and one divine year is equal to 360 human years. Multiplying these factors, we see that one day of Brahma is equal to 4,320 million years, and this day is very well comparable to what has been estimated in the Big Bang theory of the universe. It has been pointed out in his most known text, The Structure of the Universe, which has been published from Oxford University Press. it already inspires us that with such investigations revealed by the great scientists of the world and also of the nation, that we must not exclude our saints, our monks, and all the researches made by the great astronomers of the times. Second, so with such, let us now see that it clearly indicates and asserts that the concept of straightness, time dilation, gravitation, and present day deeply rooted sciences. So, these are all present in our pastime knowledge. So, now let us identify the traces and the trends. In the ancient times, as is clear in the Vedanga Jyotish, only the main motions of sun and the moon have been used for fixing our calendar. A concept of 5-year yugas was also in practice prior to the advent of Siddhantic, means theoretical astronomy, which is evident from the old astronomical theories compiled in the Panch Siddhantika written by Acharya Varah Mihir. Our research investigations in pre-Siddhantic times available in Sanskrit and also in Prakrit have revealed many interesting gradual developments and subsequent changes in the computative methodologies of the 5 limbs or 5 angas constituting our calendar known as Panchanga. More or less, the research work is still in progress, and in Panchangas what is every time published every year, the things observationally happen at the same moment and same instance. This means the knowledge which was available to our primitive people, primitive researchers, is definitely a knowledge which still stands to be true, and it cannot be excluded or avoided or ignored, and should not be ignored even in the present times. Acharya Varah Mihir himself has given such a principle which is universally true. In the basic Siddhantic, post-Siddhantic astronomy, what we find that after the advent of Siddhantic astronomy, this sinusoidal, means prakritic inequalities used in the computation of celestial longitudes of planets came into existence. Came into existence. In the case of sun and moon, only one inequality, means Mandfal, was used, and the same inequality applied to the moon, it as the hybrid of first equation of center and eviction, and the annual equation of centers of the moon got added up in the sun just with the change of sign. So, one single Mandfal, one single inequality which explained both the motion of the moon and sun and took the basis of sun and moon just by this inequality, this was a marvel, and it still stands to be true. Although these single inequalities could give somewhat satisfactory results near the sciences, yet these could not be relied upon on other tithis or even on the sciences under the specific positions of lunar lunar perigees and nodes, etc. These inequalities cannot predict the eclipses with necessary precisions. So, at that time the empirical corrections were followed, and anything without proof was not to be followed as per principle of our monks and researchers of those times. They ever believed that something can always be adopted or recorded or can be told to the disciples only when their proofs are available. So, let me quote at this stage Acharya Bhaskaracharya himself in his own wordings, Atra Ganita Skandhe Upapatti Mane Vagamah Pramanam, means nothing can be accepted if it is proofless. So, that means they were stick to it, that anything should not go beyond the proof. And after such situation, they wanted to make certain corrections in the inequality in the Mandphal, and Munjal, Bhaskar II, Shripati, Chandrasekhar and great such researchers mentioned some lunar inequalities in their Siddhantas in one form or other, and yet the same were not accepted by later astronomers, as these were not carrying the sufficient theoretical explanations, but now this insufficiency has already been removed. Now, in the present day law of gravitation, we are in the position to explain those, and that is why the theoretical explanations have also come up. So, even the monks of even the sages and researchers of those times who were hesitating to believe on such is now completely to be believed, and this is by itself a solid proof that we were so much advanced that even present day inequalities were known to those persons. In the another work, Vigyo Panaya and Karan Kautuhal, it is a great text where even those anomalies which were questioned by the previous astronomers were also solved. Next. Now, there is one most controversial thing which I want to discuss over here. Many persons, many present day intellectuals, they used to say that principles given in Vigyo Panaya and in Karan Kautuhal, these were not original, and many people used to say that these were adopted from Arabic or Babylonian theories which were perhaps prevalent on those times. And such claim is definitely ruled out. Such objection should not at all pertain, because in my viewpoint, the work of 19th century AD was this Vigyo Panaya and also the Karan Kautuhal. And it cannot be said that this is wrongly accredited to Bhaskar II and cannot be acceptable. I can't accept it because a mention to Vigyo Panaya has already been made by Sri Nivas Dikshit of 16th century AD in his work known as the Nirnay Karak, Tithi Nirnay Karak. In Tithi Nirnay Karak, when he has already revealed it, then to say that the work was of 19th century cannot be believed. So, first this objection should not be there. Moreover, some Western scholars have already remarked that lunar inequalities were taken by Indian astronomers like Munjal from Arabic astronomical tradition. In fact, the Indian lunar inequalities are based on actual observations keeping in view the two special eclipses. On analysis, it gives 5-degree equation of center for the moon and 2-degree 10 minutes equation of center for sun. In one of these eclipses, the sun was at its apogee and moon 90-degree away from its own apogee. In another calculations, the moon was at apogee and the sun being 90-degree away from its own apogee. In these particular situations, the annual variation of the moon got intermingled with sun's equation of center, yielding 2-degree 10 minutes instead of 1-degree 55 minutes. The data of Munjal and Bhaskar II are all based on trials for fulfillment of non-general nature of these inequalities, which is not the case with those of Arabic tradition. It is indicative by itself. It is crystal clear at this end that this was most original only based on trials, and such theories were transmitted to the disciples and coming researchers by the previous researchers. The origin cannot at all be the Arabic origin under such circumstances, because the Arabic tradition was not aware of such precise calculations. From the time of Pancha Siddhantika, which is written in 6th century AD, up to the Chandrasekhar Samant of Odisha in 19th century AD, the Indian lunar theoretical developments have their own history without being influenced or adopted from Arabic or any other civilization. It will therefore be in the fitness of the things that Indian almanac makers have incentive from their predecessors' efforts and adopt the right tradition of calendar reformations. And even today in our Panchangas we find that the Islamic calendar, the Christian calendar or other calendars are also envisaged. So, it is being reformed day by day, and present day reformation is providing a global values. That is why these are widespread over all. What further I should say, when after a deep analysis, a great scholar Max Muller, who was from outside India, wrote and replied such objections of the then scholars, and on the page 130 of volume 13th of lecture 4th entitled Objections, he has himself written that we must never forget that what is natural at one place is also natural on other place, and no case can be made out in favor of a foreign origin of the elementary astronomical notions of Hindus as found and presupposed in Vedic hymns. With this thought of Max Muller, I myself agree because anything which is law of nature can be revealed everywhere in the same manner. If sun rises in the east, it always rises in the east whether some investigator has found in India or the investigator is outside India. It does not mean that the principle has been taken from outside. It has its origin, and no case can be established that the inequalities which were formed in the Panch Siddhantika or Surya Siddhant, these were taken from outside, from Arabic or Babylonian origins. So, let me now expose about the Surya Siddhant. In the Surya Siddhant, we have to go a little farther and to find that Acharya, in Surya Siddhant, we will now be adopting SS. Now and onwards, for Surya Siddhant, I will be speaking SS school of thought. So, the followers of Surya Siddhant school still believe in the theory of trepidation of equinoxes. In their language, it is called Ayan Dolan, which was not accepted by many Indian astronomers like Munjal, etc. And now the same has been proved incompatible on the basis of law of gravitation given by Newton. Now, there is no reason to discard it. Although astronomical observations all over the world have been unanimously declared the solar or sidereal year adopted by SS and other Indians texts as the most standard and believable texts. Our old texts like Vedang Jyotish, Panch Siddhantika, Aryabhatiyam and Surya Siddhant and Brahma Siddhant, no doubt, have their own importance in the domain of Indian astronomy, as these works form a link for continuous development in astronomical tradition of our culture. But now, in the light of most advanced celestial mechanics, these treatises need to be revisited and modified in accordance. These need to be still modified, and if we modify them, then of course these will match with the present day astronomy and present day space sciences also. Of such endeavor for a little modification according to the situation was also made by Aryabhat and Varaha Mihirs. Say, in the text, I may just reveal it, that in Bhagavad Mahapurana itself, the duration of Madhyam Chakra Brahmand of sun and moon has been most precisely narrated, and there the Mercury and Venus have been considered as these were considered. I am talking of the technical, I am repeating the technical term, that these were known as Arkavad Brahmanti, while the other two planets, the Saturn and Mars, these were known as, say, Prapti Vikark Bacharaiti. So, these were the technical terms used for Mercury, Venus and also for Saturn and Mars. And most acceptable formula given by Bhagavad Mahapurana, I may quote exactly as such, extracted from that. So, Bhagavad Mahapurana provides a good principle which is also true today. This is Atra Urdhamad Garankupi Yojana Lakshadvitaya Upalabhya Manas Stribhi Pakshay Rekaikakashu Rashi Dvadashanubhunkate Yadina Vakrena Bhivartati Praniya Shubha Brahma Ho Yashansaha. This is Bhagavad Skand 5 and Adhyay 22, which clearly indicates the formulation for the motion of the planets which are surrounding in the solar system. And it is also providing the most exact system. And Acharya Varamihir has contributed his great work Panch Siddhantika, which contains 5 principles, including a lot account of the anomalies of planetary motions. Such anomalies have been well explained by Varamihir in his work Panch Siddhantika. The same has been well accepted and well appreciated by both Indian and the foreign scholars. It has extensively propounded the procedure of Dinman and Udayman, and most remarkable is the procedure to determine each planet and celestial body by Dvaja Shankula Kon. The Dvaja Shankula Kon I have taken from the text of Varamihir himself, which is now, who can say that even in the modern day this concept can ever be a past concept. Aryabhatta attempted to compile the periodicity and its manifestations narrated at different instances in his work Aryabhatiyam, and he also modified the Panch Siddhantika and Surya Siddhantika to make it feasible to subsequent researchers and scholars. In his work Aryabhatiyam, the great scholar Aryabhatta has considered a scale of time in terms of Kalpavarna and Ahargana, and what he has found is exactly true today, as can be seen in the plate second, where all the planets and their divas, all these things have been found by them, which is still true in our observations. Thereafter, we should not only say that all the principles given by us are theoretical, or I am telling a simple fictitious story. This is not the situation. Even the Hindu astronomy is standing to be true. A great evidence is the most wonderful Jantar Mantar, which is situated in both Jaipur and Delhi. Jantar Mantar was not at all constructed when it was the old and the ancient times. It is the endeavor made at the time of Raja Jai Singh of Jaipur, and at that time the ruler of Delhi was Aurangzeb. Maharaja Jai Singh was having a special taste for astronomy, and he was trying to protect even those part of knowledge of astronomy of India which was eliminated due to pass of time. He was having a very high liking. So, he inspired such people who were having very good knowledge of astronomy and our theories of primitive Hindu astronomy, and due to such inspiration Jantar Mantar at Jaipur was built. Thereafter, Mughals ruling over Delhi were also inspired by the same, and they requested Maharaja Jai Singh to manage in such a way that it be also present in Delhi. So, the Jantar Mantar at Delhi can be seen. It is having those scriptures, it is having those parts which can trace out any celestial body at any time. The small calibrations made on different parts of Jantar Mantar, these are so accurate that the time can be calculated to the part of seconds without any telescope, without any external instrument. It is a simple calibration, and such a calibration is most wonderful. Persons from outside the country, they used to come, and they also find that Jantar Mantar is such thing. Let me describe a little about Jantar Mantar, that it is containing 4 important instruments or devices. The entire structure is divided into 4 parts. One is known as Samrat Yantra. This Samrat Yantra is in only one piece. Another one is known as the Rama Yantra. Rama Yantra is in 2 symmetric parts. Third is Jai Prakash Yantra, which is also in 2 symmetric parts, and fourth is Mishra Yantra, which is one single instrument not having 2 symmetries. And out of all these, this Rama Yantra and Jai Prakash Yantra, there are 2 structures, symmetric structures, which are supplementary to each other. The one part can be studied on one structure, while its complementary part can be seen on the other structure. In Jantar Mantar, the Jai Prakash Yantra is most important. Just like the Rama Yantra, this yantra or instrument is also in 2 parts. One part is supplementary to other. The Jai Prakash Yantra consists of a hollow hemispherical cavity in the ground, plastered with the polished and graduations being thereupon. It is a representation of the heavenly sphere on which the lines have been drawn to indicate the altitude and azimuth circles and meridians, equator and zenith, etc. This is most surprising how precise calculations are available in Hindu astronomy, how precisely these have been drawn, that even today the celestial bodies are very well traced out. The circles forming the rim of the yantra on the ground represents the horizon, and it is divided into degrees from east to west, and the lowermost point of the center represents the zenith, through which a circle passes from north to south points. And on these lines, the south direction, a point is taken at 28 degree 39 minute. Below the horizon has been taken to represent the south pole. Similarly, a point 29 degree 39 minutes above the horizon, this represents the north pole. On the southern circle thus drawn, the points are marked representing the position of the rising of the 12 signs counted from the upper intersection of the meridian with the circle towards the east, with the 12 points thus marked at centers which are radius equal to the radius of the hemispherical of the yantra, and circles are drawn to represent the different positions of ecliptic. For the purpose of observations, the cross wires have been fixed exactly north, south, east and west. All the 4 cross wires are made up of metal, and these are directly related to the centers to which these are attached. The image on it possessing through a hole marks the position in accordance. So, the position of any planet, sun, everything can be very well revealed by this Jayaprakash yantra. Another is the Mishra yantra. It is comparatively a complete structure instrument comprising of variety of 4 yantra, means Samrat, but Dakshinabhitti is another one which has been used in that, and another is Niyat Chakra yantra and Kark Rashival. These have been added to Mishra yantra, which provide most pertinent information about the celestial system, and also they provide a clue to the present day cosmological problems of Big Bang and also of a steady state. This is a present day wonder which can be seen any time, but most unfortunate part is that such precious monument is being devastated by the people who have been freed to be there, and they sometimes spoil the scriptures by making their own identifications on that. I have been to Delhi very recently for such a ground, such feasible asset of the country and the world. But when I went there, it was most deplorable that no attempts have been made to make it inaccessible to the common people who have nothing to do with that. They go like a picnic spot and they are destroying it day by day. After Jantar Mantar, the most important factor is the Niyat Chakra yantra, which is quite being distorted these days, but with the magnifying glasses and with some other instruments, if we look into that, then most important thing is that this instrument is used to find the declination of sun at 6:52 and 7:24 in the morning and 4:36 and 5:8 in the evening. And the second importance of this Niyat Chakra yantra is that it is to observe the noon of the 4 important observatories in the east and the west. Now, let me tell that morning hour 6:52 denotes the noon of Notke in Japan, while the 7:24 it denotes the Saricen Big Island in the Pacific, while in the evening hours 4:36 denotes the Zurich, Switzerland, while 5:8 in the evening this indicates the Greenwich Mean Time of England. So, all these times, all these bases of calculation of time are altogether present in that system which is known as Jantar Mantar, and that is a strange wonder which we are losing by the way, and we must try to protect such monument. Hmm. 6.52 denotes the noon at नोत के at जापान. देखिए जरा सा एक बार आप उसको खोल के देखिए, हमने बोला था दिस पार्ट की पूरा एकदम. The morning hours 6.52 denotes the noon at Notke in Japan, while in the morning hours 7.24 that denotes the Sarichen in Pik Island, noon of Sarichen in Pik Island in the Pacific. The evening hours 4.36 denotes the noon at Zurich, Switzerland, while the evening hours of 5.8 denotes the noon at Greenwich in England. So, all the four are altogether present in such a marvelous system known as Jantar Mantar. While making these calculations, no telescope has been used, no other device is all there. It is simply because of the Hindu astronomy of the ancient times, which has been developed to the present stage, that such a wonder is present. And it was constructed, it was devised in the medieval period, it was not devised in ancient times. This clearly indicates that the principles found by our astronomers in primitive ages are still green, still true, still surviving to be true, and cannot be disbelieved at any stage. Another important thing is Dakshinobhiti, which consists of a graduated arc which has been described on eastern wall of this yantra, which is made exactly in the north and south line. At the center of the arc is fixed a peg, and this yantra is used to fix the altitude and zenith distance of a celestial body when it is on the meridian. When it is on the meridian, its zenith can be very well calculated directly. Kark Rashival consists 0 on the face of the back wall of this yantra, and a semicircle has been engraved in plaster at the center of which a peg is fixed. Now, starting from 0 on the east and west ends of the semicircle, there are 90 at the bottom, and this space is divided in degrees and minutes, and it is used at the time when first point of Cancer is on the meridian to know the actual sign in which the sun is situated. For any celestial object other than sun, the method of observation of celestial object is same as narrated above, that is by aligning the object with the thread and also in Dakshinobhiti. The reading on the graduation made on the semicircle determines the particular sign in which the celestial object is located. Now, I do not think that any other evidence is needed to tell about the preciseness of Hindu astronomy, preciseness of our Indian traditional astronomy. I may recall that at the time of Chandragupta Maurya, when Alexander tried to invade this country, but he could not come inside this country. Although it might be unfortunate to describe about any war or any dispute, but it was fortunate on the other part, because the intellectuals of our country and the intellectuals from Greece, they came close to each other. People of Greece were very good in geometry, while they were not knowing about zero. They were having the concept of natural numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But they were not having any idea of negative numbering or zero. So, that was the time when such a knowledge was migrated from our country to them, and that is why the present day computation and present day fractional computation and everything is existing. This is highest contribution of this country. And what to talk when a great genius person, Al-Biruni, who visited India, he admired the calculations of Indian people and their great knowledge, and ultimately he wrote his book Al-Zabarwa, which is now known as algebra. This algebra is the origin. Algebra is having its origin deeply rooted in our country. The calculations of trigonometry like sine and cosine, depending on which the entire last astronomy of the country was relying, this was also revealed in this country. But I am speaking of the wonders where real assets of our astronomy can be evidenced. So, another such marvel, if I am speaking, that is Konark Sun Temple in Odisha, which is most astonishing phenomenon of the sun rays, which reach the Konark temple, and its location and the sun rays which touch the temple with all its chariots, it is most astonishing as to how such astronomical features could be observed. Another marvel which I have myself seen is the Mahalakshmi temple in Kolhapur. In the entire year of 365 days, only on one particular specified day, the sun rays reached on the statue of Mahalakshmi, and for remaining 364 days this never happens. How this could be calculated by the persons who built the Mahalakshmi temple? This was simple based on the astronomical calculations, and such astronomical calculations which were devised and developed from our primitive and the most ancient concepts. That is why this is the figure of Mahalakshmi temple, and in this temple it does not appear that sunlight can ever enter inside and touch the statue, but it does only once in the year, and on that date many type of religious activities are performed. So, our life of Indians, our life was so intermingled with the knowledge of astronomy that even the common people took its all interest. Elements based on which our calculations of ancient astronomy have been based, that I will be discussing in my next lecture. At the moment, I have simply provided a layout that such a knowledge should not be ignored even in the present day cosmology. At the last, I may provide a bibliography. Next. Acknowledgements also. I may provide a bibliography, say it is from number 1, continued, the acknowledgement is just, and I may acknowledge, I would like to pay my thanks to Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, where a team of persons is to work under me on astronomical observations, and during such observations I have revealed this, whatever I have spoken over here. Moreover, I would like to pay my heartily thanks to MHRD for providing an opportunity to speak over such um, such glaring subject which I have revealed during my observations along with the team in the DST project. So, my special thanks are due to Dr. Satya Srivastava, who is most dedicatedly working over here, and she has requested me to speak over this.